the draft, Omar Khan does it again. Third straight year, bringing out the magic. Derek Harmon, first round draft pick, man. I could not have asked for a better defensive tackle. Now, Kenneth Grant and then, what was the other guy? Walter Nolan. Yeah, they were off the board. And then I saw that Derek Harmon was available, and I know they were going to go either running back or defensive tackle. And I'm like, thank you for getting that guy. That's absolutely what they need. That is a huge guy to have in the middle of that field for you, basically passing the torch from Cam Hayward to now to Derek Harmon. It's just going to be a great, great transition. I very much appreciate what they are trying to build, but here's the thing about the draft. Yes, I do very much love that Caleb Johnson is. That was probably the biggest one for me. I love Derek Harmon as the choice for the first round, but for me, the pick of the draft has to be Caleb Johnson. Running back for Iowa, the dude was projected to be like a 50th pick, like in the 50s area for the draft, and he went all the way to the 83rd pick. I mean, that is insane how he was able to stay there the whole time and for us to go and get him. I think Denver was talking about taking him, and it didn't happen. And when we said we got him, yes, I'm like, that is Najee Harris again, but with a little more zip. Him and Jaylen Warren, that's a fantastic combination. I cannot wait to see what and they talk about, what's his name, Gainwell from Philadelphia. He's like, they're talking about how he's going to be a punt return mostly, but they're also going to use him as running back. It's pretty set for the running back room, for the wide receiver. I mean, DK Metcalf is essentially a second-round pick. That's what you gave up, and that is the greatest surprise to know that that is going to be your tangent between Metcalf, Pickens, and now it looks like Robert Woods. They acquired him on a one-year deal. I saw that. He's 33 years old. I don't know if that's the smartest way to go because, again, Calvin Austin seemed like he was going to be your wide receiver 3. Either way, like that, Wood is a Super Bowl winning wide receiver, so it's not like the dude is completely out of it. So he's got a lot of talent. Love what I see from that. And you've got that traditional setup with Darnell and Pat. I mean, the tight end room is set. So it's really going to come down to, is the O-line going to be the best version this coming season? And there's no other option. There really isn't. And listen, I know I was a little skeptic. I know I've put my 2 cents in time and time again. But if Rodgers does eventually make his decision to come and he is a Steeler, I mean, it's the option it's going to be. So yeah, I personally think,
when are you going to start your own show on here for this?
We'll be talking probably maybe by training camp sometime in the summer. Maybe we can discuss getting ready for this season. Dude,
you wouldn't want to come on here and talk about this weekly, huh?
I would very much like that, bud, but at the same time, I'm kind of reserving myself for what they do this season, honestly, because if they mess up this offensive scheme with all these options and all these great picks, if they mess up another season and they don't win a playoff game, dude, there's no point. There's really no point in covering this team because what else are you going to talk about? It just seems like it just inserts the same problems every single year. We have great names, but they don't work out. These guys are brought in to be great coordinators, but they don't pan out. Mike Tomlin has been here this whole time, and no one else seems to think that's the problem, but it just seems to always be the problem. Yeah, I'm just saying, it's just a repeat, bud. And as much as I would love to have my own show where I say the same thing over and over again, that I don't know. I personally think I would have better use of my time just being an angry person that just knows they could be better, and they're choosing not to. Believe me, bud, the entire city of Pittsburgh is feeling this. It's not just with the Steelers. It's everything.
Yep. Yeah, I'll just give my thoughts on the Steelers real quick, and then we'll just move on. I just don't. Yeah. But yeah, they had another draft that they did that they always do. It was. I mean, of course, they went D tackle with the first round. They always do that. They got Will Howard.
Yep.
Of course. They got Jack Sawyer, of course. That was, it's just so predictable. They got a running back from Iowa, got a D tackle from Iowa. They got Mark Bruner's son or nephew, whatever.
Wyatt Black was the other name I remember seeing.
Yeah, they didn't get Black. They didn't get Shadur Sanders, which is good. Now, I think Aaron Rodgers is coming to the Steelers. He's a weirdo, but he's coming to the Steelers. And which I think he will. If he doesn't, then like I said, man, like even last year, I really didn't watch them that much. I don't really watch the NFL that much in general. They've really turned me away because of how political they got. They've turned a lot of people away, the NFL, as a product.
Yeah.
But if he comes to the Steelers, that'd be great. But if he doesn't, like, they're totally screwed. Mason Rudolph. I would rather see Paul Skeens as the quarterback than Mason Rudolph, honestly. That's so bad. But anyway, yeah. But I think Aaron Rodgers will come, and I think he can help them win. That's it. That's it. Like, that's my final point, is I think he can help them win. So I don't care about drama. It affects me zero. It's not going to change anything about my life. As long as they win, they win. That's it. And he can make them a Super Bowl contender, in my opinion. And then next year, if they don't get, because I've heard that Arch Manning may not come out for the draft next year. The person that said that, I think it's about half a moron, because I think he will, because he's going to be the first pick, I think. In which he's looking at $50 million if he comes out. And he's the highest paid college player right now, $6 million. I think he's the highest paid college athlete. But I think it's $6.7 million. So, at the end of the day, like, that's a lot of money, but he can still make more as the first overall pick. But if they don't get like an Arch Manning or Drew Aller, someone who's like seems to be proven, then I'm convinced that they're like being paid to just tank this franchise. Mike Tomlin should already be gone, but
yeah. But let's put it in this perspective, though. You said about Drew Aller. If, again, we're just painting the positive as we can picture, say Penn State wins the national championship this year by some sheer miracle. I mean, I want to see it happen. And I say it because it could possibly happen. Could you imagine that? If Drew Aller and them win the national championship, he goes into the draft and the Steelers pick him, we will have two guys that are back-to-back national championship quarterbacks on our roster. How crazy would that be? That would be amazing. Drew Aller and Will Johnson.
Yeah, I want to see Drew Aller with like some good coaching too. Franklin, dude, to me it's so obvious. I have Brett on and Matt from Penn State Jerseys yesterday. We have different views on some things, which it is what it is. It's sports.
Yeah.
To me, it's obvious. Like, Franklin is not. He's just not that great of a coach. He's a horrible game day coach. The fact that Drew Aller is not more confident and he's not farther ahead right now is to me, it's on the head coach, first of all. Yesterday we talked about like not scoring a touchdown against Ohio State, this and that. And I said, that falls on the head coach. And they said, well, he trusts in his OC to get it done. It's like, okay, well, he wasn't. So he needs to step in as a head coach, which he does not. Because quite frankly, when it comes to game day coaching, it's either one or the other or both. He's horrible at game day coaching. He doesn't know what he's doing. So it's one of those two or both. the fact that Drew Aller has not progressed more is pretty pathetic on his end too. And then the run game, the fact that Nick Singleton had this breakout freshman season and he hasn't really been the same since. Katron's been pretty consistent. And we can just talk about Penn State too, Jared. But
yeah, sir, yeah, please do. I love it.
Yeah, like defense. They've been pretty good. Tom Allen wasn't the best hire. That was some bad defense last year compared to Manny Diaz. And then we have Jim Knowles coming in. It's kind of one of those you can't beat them, join them type things. There's been 2 times in Kotelnicki's career where he scored less than 17 points. And the 2 times that happened was against Jim Knowles in his whole career. So that's a good addition.
Yes.
But the fact that Drew Aller, but long story short, he's going to come on to an NFL team, hopefully get drafted high, and he's going to get some good coaching. I mean, he's going to walk into like a hopefully Steelers coaching situation, or I just hope he doesn't go to, I think no matter who it is really in the NFL, he's going to be better off. But if he goes into especially the Steelers, if Mike Tomlin is still there, Mike Tomlin's going to coach him up well, you know, whoever his staff is, because the Steelers develop talent. At least 5 of our guys this year in the draft are going to be on the field at some point significantly. That always happens. So we'll see. You know, we'll see it. But if they don't get a quarterback next year in the draft, and I'm talking like they don't trade up and get one, which I think they will because they didn't do it this year, then I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what their plan is unless they go out and get like a Pat Mahomes in free agency. You know what I mean? What are they doing? Which obviously will never happen, but what are they doing? I mean, so.
Listen, you can try to figure out any game plan for Tomlin, but what we can say for certain, he does not really do a great job at the 3 to 5 years down the road picture. He never really does that. He's kind of always in the moment, like practically in the game. He's never really even talking about a season. He's just constantly doing that, 1 week mentality. Then we work for next week. We're focused on this week, and then next week, and then it's this week. And so I feel like I had a great analogy someone once said. The other day when I was at work, someone was talking about GMs and the head coach, like, who has more say over what? And I feel like when you look at the NFL draft, I always feel like the GM's job is like, it's like a car lot. Like every NFL team is a car lot, and the GM's job is to bring in the merchandise for your lot. And the coach is the guy who's the salesman. Like, you can bring all these really good looking cars in, and it's just the head coach's job to start selling them out to the public. And I felt like, Kenny Pickett, when you drafted him, I felt like, was that really Kevin Colbert basically just giving Mike Tomlin a Pinto and saying, have fun? Like, I just feel like it really does tell you what relationship that you must have between a GM and a head coach. And I feel like Penn State, that's really also the same thing with the athletic coordinator or the athletic director. The AD and the head coach really have to get on the same page with what they're doing. And again, we acquired the defensive coordinator for the Ohio State. When I saw that, I went, here we go, man. Like, this is truly them making the move, saying, if we're not winning now, we never will. Because what more can you ask to bring in a guy like him and say, we're not trying to be competitive. We're not trying to go for the whole thing. And it's really now seeing all the recruits we're getting, wide receiving room, the guy from Syracuse. If we cannot win with the players we've acquired, if Drew Aller cannot look better with these names, on top of the tangent of Singleton and Allen, what more there's no way we're ever winning. If we don't do it with this now, we're never going to.
It'll never happen. Yep,
nope.
100%. Yeah, Jared, you always have good Penn State takes. Yeah, it'll never happen, man. It'll never happen. there's no way on God's green earth that will ever happen if it doesn't happen this year, unless they get really lucky. Like in 2016, right? They got lucky. They got 100% lucky.
Very, very.
No other way to put it. They got extremely lucky. Moorhead is who I credit mainly for that successful season. You know, for everything that happened with his efficiency on offense.
Yeah,
they were just on a roll, an absolute
I
roll.
loved him as the offensive coordinator. I thought he was such a great acquire for them. And when he left, you saw the drop off really with the offensive stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, Penn State is always going to have two things that they have really got down pat: running back and tight end. It doesn't matter if they can run the ball, doesn't matter if they can catch it as well, or the tight end is just a great scheme with whatever they do on the outside, whatever they go down the field. Like, they have great names that come in for those positions. Now, we've never had a name like Drew Aller, like a 5-star recruit like that. And I just feel like once he came in, nothing against the wide receiving core that we got, but you never heard the names. You never saw those associations where, they're top 50, top 100. These guys are going to the NFL easily, nothing about like Lambert Smith or Clifford or any guys like that. I very much appreciated their contributions, but they're just not those names. And now we've got them.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
Like, if this is not the year to get pumped up, how could it not be?
Yeah, we have 3 guys: Kyron Hudson, Devontae Ross, and now Trevor Pena. 3 guys. I mean, you think of good teams at Penn State, Jared. I mean, you go back to 94, you had Bobby Ingram. 97, you had Joe Jaravicious.
Yep.
2016, you had Godwin, you had Deshaun Hamilton, you had Gesicki.
Hey, don't forget 08. Don't forget 08 with whole. Yes, with Derek Williams, Jordan Norwood, Deion Butler. That was phenomenal offensive stuff.
Yeah. 2003, you had, they had a decent season. That was, or 2002, 2003. Yeah, 2002, that was like Brian Johnson, Michael Robinson, and Tony Johnson. And then 2005, Derek Williams, Deion Butler, Jordan Norwood. 08, well, they had Terrell Gold on that team too, who I had as a coach at Penn State. He was a really cool guy. And then in 08, you had Derek Williams, Deion Butler, Jordan Norwood. You had Derek Moy, you had Justin Brown. And then in, 16, like I said, and then even recently, KJ Hamler, Deshaun Hamilton, you had all these guys on the same team.
Yep.
Penn State, when they're good, they've always had those solidified name receivers. You knew their names. We have not had that. I mean, who recently has for Penn State receiver as a Penn State receiver? Who's the last receiver that was really good? It was
Dotson?
Jahan Dotson, right?
Yeah. He went first round, didn't he? To the Commanders.
Yes.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. Because he was Derek Williams. He was that kind of athlete.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't had a solidified receiver as of late. And I think this is the year that they can really do that. But if they don't, like you said, man, because I asked Brett and Matt last night, I said, so if they don't get it done this year, because Jared, you were on this show after the Notre Dame game. Brett and I were going at it.
Yes.
And obviously, that's sports talk.
Yep.
That's what it is. Brett knows that. We're still buds regardless. We he said it was the receivers, and I said I think that's an excuse. So if they don't win it all this year, what's going to be said afterwards? Because they have everything. Matt said the only way they don't is if they're unhealthy. I mean, injuries, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. But yeah, I mean, what's the excuse after this year if they don't win it all? I think you really, as a fan, for example, Brett, I think what he'll do is he'll say, man, this isn't going to happen. No. I think he will say that. You know what I mean? Because Brett's not delusional. Brett's just Brett's very positive. Brett's a optimist when it comes to Penn State.
Yes, he is.
So which, you know, that's how you should be. I'm not like that. So
we've had Steelers talk, but I do know that you're realistic.
Yeah. I mean, what's the excuse going to be, Jared? Is there going to be an excuse? I mean, what's the answer then?
You know, but it's like when you look at the whole scope of like the NIL and who gets paid more, like we can go down so many rabbit holes. Like the expansion of the Big Ten, you know, you got to deal with like the tougher, you know, West Coast travel, like all the different back and forth they got to do. I mean, maybe that was a wear and tear on you. There's so many things, but in the end, what has always been the case with national championship teams is it's all on who built the entire layout for the success. That's really where it comes down to. Like when we talk about Ryan Day losing to Michigan, it is that thing where you say something bad about the Steelers back in the day. In the 2000s, when you say, "Oh, the Steelers had this record, they were 8-8, they were 9 or that they were 500." How can? And once you get in the playoffs, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. Yeah. As soon as you get in the playoffs, you're a totally different team. It's 0-0. Anything is possible at that point. We proved that because we got to the semifinals, regardless of our schedule. That's another thing. You got to also think about how the brackets are going to be changed differently at the end of the season, like how the playoffs are going to look. We don't know who we're going to be facing. Is it going to be a bye week and then the number 4 team, or is it going to be some setup where we have the toughest road to the championship? Like that's another thing. We could face the 3 toughest teams to get all the way. I can say with complete certainty that this is the most talented team James Franklin's ever had under his belt.
Oh,
it's one thing for you to have all the recruits that you have, and then on top of the transfer portal, come on. Like, this is basically everything coming into play. Like, you think about, how do you want to say it? Like, you know, when you're building a city, when you're a little kid and you have like all the forts and all the different things, like when you have the Lego building and all that stuff, like you've got it all. Like everything is built up to the scale. You've got the prettiest looking landscape that you have. If you can't make anybody convinced that you're ready to do something, it never will happen. And it will all truly fall on probably James Franklin and anyone who is pretty much a coach. That's just where I think it goes to. If you're talking about excuses, it's, dude, you've had how many opportunities? This didn't happen because you didn't have the right connections, the recruits. Like, again, the transfer portal, you lost guys, injuries. Again, we've heard all the excuses for how many years now? And I feel like if we're going to say what went wrong, it will be because you said it, game day coach ain't him.
Yeah. So here's the thing, man. All right. So you just said about us how this probably being the most talented team. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to find this article. Yeah.
Sure, bud.
All right. So yes, this is by far, and again, like this is something that we know, that this is one thing that I know particularly is history of Penn State football. A lot of it. I don't know all of it, but I know a lot of it. You know, there's certain guys, they could go back and say who the quarterback was in like 1953, stuff like that. That's not me. But, you know, I know a lot of, I've been watching it my whole life, 32 years old, been watching it my whole life. So, you know, you say about us having the most talented roster, this is frankly the most talented roster. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So, you know, you go back to, gosh darn it, the heck am I doing? So you go back to like, 05, right?
Yeah.
Still didn't have as much talent as we have right now. Now, Franklin, for the thing with me for Franklin is he gets all these talented guys, these 5-star guys. And what does it mean? They don't beat Ohio State, they don't beat Michigan, they lose to Notre Dame. Like, dude, that's inexcusable for me, losing to Notre Dame.
Right.
Because they didn't have even close to as much talent as we did.
No.
They still lost. Joe, he would get, okay, so 05, right?
Yeah.
He had Derek Williams. I think he was the number 1 player in his class. Then he had Deion Butler, a walk-on. Jordan Norwood, a walk-on. Michael Robinson, pretty highly touted athlete. Wasn't even a quarterback when he came to Penn State. He played everything.
He did.
Besides like Dan Connor and Paul Posluszny, you didn't really have too many guys that were highly touted as recruits. Joe made them into what they were. Joe took Kajana Carter, a 3-star linebacker, into a second in the Heisman voting as a running back. Mark Rubin, starting safety, started as a receiver. Michael Robinson started as like a running back, and he ended up being like a good quarterback because he was just a phenomenal athlete.
Yes.
And, you take like a Tyler Warren, 3-star guy, turned into probably the best tight end ever at Penn State, one of the best tight ends ever in college football. He's got to be like top 5 all time.
Dude, he's going to turn the Colts team alone into a team that is going to be competitive in the AFC South or whatever that is. It? Yeah, the AFC South. They're going to be a great team because of Tyler Warren. Absolutely.
Well, dude, as a Penn State fan, if you're not already a Bears fan, you need to hope that they absolutely suck forever because they took Loveland over Warren. First of all,
that's insane.
And then they get Luther Burden, dude. They could have Keenan Allen. I think he's still in the Bears. They could have.
No, I think he left.
Did he? Okay, so they have Roma Dunze. They could have Tyler Warren, Luther Burden, all in the same team with Caleb Williams, and I think they have like a decent running back also. Are you kidding me right now? And I don't like Caleb Williams. I think he's overrated. But my God, talk about weapons.
But
Tyler
the NFC
Warren would have been a phenomenal pick.
Right. Well, dude, the NFC North, it's all about either the Packers or the Lions right now. Yeah, we're living in a world where the Lions look like Super Bowl contenders every year now for the past 3 years. We're definitely living in new territory where you're looking at Chicago 20 years ago always being a premier team or being at least competitive, and they have not been that ever since Jay Cutler. I mean, it's been one of the most unique situations. And again, you talk about how many opportunities they've had to build, and they just have not done anything. They have completely fired the arrow backwards in their quiver. That's just what they've been doing. So it's very difficult in the NFL to know why teams do what they do, but Tyler Warren, I was like, oh my gosh, the Colts just became like maybe from the worst team in that division to maybe a contender with the Texans. This is going to be an interesting season, I think, for them because, again, when all it takes is one guy. It takes one guy for you to really turn your team around, and that's a great piece to have. He will be doing so much for their playbook. I can only imagine what the offensive coordinator is coming up with right now for Indianapolis.
Absolutely, man. But, to keep on our Penn State topic a little bit, Texas is number 1. Manning area is finally here. They spent $40 million in NIL, which is insane. Ohio State is number 2. They deserve to be – I thought they'd be number 1. Texas should be 1, but Ohio State should be 2.
Yeah.
If not higher, because they are former champions. They have, I think – is it Julian Sayin? Wait, who am I thinking? Who's the Ohio State quarterback next year? I'm going to look it up real quick. So, Julian Sayin, right? Yeah, Julian Sayin, who I believe is one of the guys that's like, I think he was like the number 1 in his class or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Hold on. Julian Sayin, 247. He's 5-star, of course.
Yep.
Number 3 QB in the class, number 1 in California, number 20 overall. So that's their quarterback coming back. So yeah. Georgia is number 3. They have a decent quarterback coming in, Stockton, and at Penn State's 4, right? Okay, so just to read this real quick, it's an all-in year for Penn State coming off an appearance in the college football semifinals. under James Franklin. Drew Aller, a third-year starter, returns and will have a pair of 1,000-yard rushers in Nick Singleton and Katron Allen. They added a receiver in Trevor Pena. Denai, A.J. Harris coming back under Jim Knowles. Can Penn State follow Michigan, Ohio State's path to program's first national title since 1986? Man, just to see that is kind of, my dad, he was a senior when they won last. He's almost 60 years old.
Dude, you and I were not born yet. I was not born the last time Penn State won a national championship.
Yeah, he was a senior at Penn State when they won. I wasn't even a twinkle in the eye.
See the stuff in my beard? It's like I've been alive longer, like as long as they have not had a championship. And the fact that I have this in my, and they have not smelled a national championship since is insane.
Notre Dame, number 5, of course, they're always overrated. I don't get it, man.
See, that's the thing. I was curious where Notre Dame was after this, because it was like, are they even in the top 10? Like,
dude, they're above Oregon, the former Big Ten champion.
Aren't they like the richest NIL team? Like, don't they spend a lot of money on their
Oregon?
Yes.
It's I believe it's like it's Texas, Ohio State. I think Oregon's up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Clemson. Okay, I get it. Klubnik's coming back. Bama, I guess.
Always
LSU.
Bama.
LSU, Brian Kelly, he gets a lot of hate. I like Brian Kelly, but he's one of those guys that constantly is just, Illinois,
he's always relevant. I mean, it's true.
Holy crap.
Illinois?
Yeah, you see that?
I did see that.
Did I read this wrong?
You did read that right.
Rankings. Okay, so this is the college football rankings. All right, Illinois is 10.
Wow. Over Michigan? Wow.
Brett Bielema, they're good there. Florida, I don't get that. Miami, okay. I mean, we'll see who their quarterback is. South Carolina, they have supposedly one of the best quarterbacks coming back. Arizona State, I get that. Ole Miss, okay. BYU, Michigan, I think Michigan should be higher. They have Bryce Underwood.
Yes.
I think they should be. I think they'll beat Ohio State again this year, to be honest with you.
Wow. I mean, that's just so crazy. You said Michigan 18 and then Illinois 10. Like that. What?
I know. That's crazy. I did not know that. But here's the thing, okay? Like Brett and Matt said that, Harbaugh's a cheater. Michigan cheated. They're going to get sanctions. I don't know if they're getting more sanctions. Apparently they are. I have not heard that.
I have not heard anything either.
But here's the thing, man. Okay, so let's say they did cheat. All right?
Yeah.
I guarantee you they're not the first ones to do it. There's been other teams that have done it. I'm sure Ohio State has done it.
Alabama?
Someone at Michigan said they got the idea from Ohio State, okay,
right.
First of all. All right, that's like, okay, so like Ohio State, any criticism they have for Michigan is like, if someone commits a crime and their parents are like saying something and then you believe them, it's like they're their parents. They're going to stick up for them. Or it's like the person that was the victim of the crime, they're saying something against them. It's like, well, of course they're going to say that.
Right.
Their Ohio State's rival is Michigan. Of course, whatever they say, you just got to like not listen to, because they're going to say a Michigan player, killed one of their fans or something. They'll say anything. It's that bitter of a rivalry. So of course they're going to say that. But I heard that Michigan got the idea from Ohio State. I don't know what happened. I don't care. They've beaten Ohio State 4 years in a row. That's beautiful.
Yes, it is.
I love it. Even if they cheated against us, man, I don't even care. It's like, okay, be better then. Beat them.
Right.
Beat them when they're cheating. That's it. Like the tattoo thing at Ohio State, like the that's happened before, for sure, with Terrell Pryor. Now with Urban Meyer and that coach, Zach Smith, and the allegations against him. Dude, that has happened so many other times in other programs. You never hear about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff, unfortunately, happens way more than you think. So this whole like Michigan cheated. All right, well, okay, be good enough to beat them. You know, like it is what it is. It's not like they were juicing their players or, you know, they were like trying to break the other players' legs in the games and like trying to injure people, and they're being paid to injure people like the Saints were doing, you know, stuff like that. There's worse things. All right.
Yes.
If you cheat, you get caught, then you need to pay the price. But it's like, has anyone else done this? Probably yes. So that's my whole deal with that. But Michigan, they're number 16. BYU, Tennessee. Yeah. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I know that Penn State has always had their issues with those big teams, Ohio State, Michigan, and it's always on coaching. Like we always talk about what it comes down to. And again, Jim Harbaugh, Ryan Day, and then you have James Franklin. And again, why does it always come back to coaching? Because again, you have to have everything ready. You have to have an answer for why things aren't going. And dude, it just seems like game management and just play calling is always the thing that just makes you just go, why? What is it about that idea that made you think was going to be the best way to handle that? Like I've watched many a times where, you watch the guy step back and he throws the ball and it's like you're throwing it to who instead of Tyler Warren? Like why? Like I'm not saying you have double coverage and you can't figure it out easily, but that's the thing. If it's the best player, get the ball to them. Like don't try to do a trick play or try to, fool anyone. Because again, Lambert Smith, great name, but you have all the other guys, cornerbacks, and anybody on the defense that's just going to figure them out so quickly. Like that's the thing about anybody who plays Penn State. Like it seems like their defensive coordinating and game planning is just ready for any trick play that goes on. And I don't get why they try to be clever over what would work. That I don't know why it's always got to be this idea, this great out of nowhere Houdini thing that's like, oh man, look at us and how impressive we were with this plan. And how many times does it work? Like 1 out of 15? Every 15 plays, I think the one time they do it, it works. Like the one play that comes to mind is the USC game where they had that one trick motion and the ball went down to Tyler Warren in the end zone. He jumps up and had to go 8 feet in the air to catch that, but still came down with it. It was a brilliant play. I was so fooled. I couldn't believe what I saw. It was a great execution. And again, those plays happen like once a season. So I very much feel like we've got to stop having this idea that we have to be that clever or we have to do something clever and just go at them. Like, just try to be the better team. Like, just show you got the bigger guys. Just push them down, maul them over, get into the end zone in some way, shape, or form. Like, I feel like that's what we've been missing. I just feel like we're so conservative when it comes to big moments that it's like we just don't think we're going to execute. And that's always been our downfall. I just feel like we get timid in the big moment and they always expose it. Like we had every opportunity in the Ohio State game. That game will just always be in my head where it's just like, why could we not win in that game? Yeah. We were right there the whole time and we just never had a moment. And they always knew what to do. They always knew how to keep us on the sideline. And it just was bad. So I know that Penn State, again, has all the tools, getting ready to go, have great coaching. There's just no excuses after this. It's like you would basically have dismantled Penn State athletics in general if this does not go down. If they're not at least in the championship game, I feel like this would be a complete loss this year.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be, it's going to be heartbreaking, man. Like, unless we go there and at least put up a very, very, very good fight, I won't be satisfied. I mean, there's no reason why they should not win this year. Matt and Brett, they said that they can overcome the fact that Texas just spent 35-40 million.
Yep.
They can overcome that, which I agree. But because no matter what, man, like we have last year, in my opinion, we had the most talented team in the country. This year, we're up there for sure. In terms of talent. So, like, again, like Joe made players out of nothing. Franklin gets these highly touted players because he's good at recruiting, but they don't seem to always, like Abdul Carter, man, 3rd overall pick, freak of an athlete, didn't even beat Notre Dame, man.
Yeah.
That guy didn't even play in a national title game.
Nope.
You had he didn't even win any awards, I don't think. And then you have like Saquon Barkley. That guy wasn't in the Heisman running.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like 2017, all of these, we had so many expectations going into that season. Not one guy on our team won an award at the end of the year. Like, I'm talking like Trace and Saquon both could have been in the Heisman running if they played well. Gesicki could have been the best tight end. Like, there were so many guys. I think even Parsons wasn't there yet, I don't think. But there were so many guys that, again, Micah Parsons, like maybe Hall of Famer in the NFL, never played in a national title game. Played in a New Year's Six, but yeah, it's just like, what?